Alrighty folks, welcome back to the 55th Annual AEA Convention and Trade Show. We're down on the convention floor, just across the river from Washington, D.C., the various puzzle palaces that we have to deal with on a daily basis, including the home of, God help us, the FAA. At any rate, we're having just a tremendous time talking about the most innovative industry in all of aviation, namely the avionics community. There's no question that if the rest of aviation was as innovative as the avionics world has been, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, it'd be a different business altogether. And one of the reasons that we find this so fascinating is there are people who are more than willing to just look for whatever technologies are going to be brought to the betterment of aviation and find ways to not only get these things working right, get them certified, and get them out into the market, but to constantly push the barrier, kind of push the limit, and find ways to make sure that aviation flies safer, better than ever before. We have the great good fortune to be talking to Todd Winter. This is the power behind True Blue Power in Mid-Continent.
Yes.
And before we get into all the good stuff, the gadgets, a name change?
Yes, a name change. I don't think it's too radical, but Mid-Continent Instruments has been around for 48 years, and we've really focused on instruments and indicators, but we've always had a component of servicing radios, navcoms, and things like that, helping out the avionics shop, your local shop on the field. And, you know, shops are getting spread a little thin. They've been asking us to help more with that, so we have been doing repairs again for the shops so they can support their customers better. And we said, okay, we are making a real commitment, so we're going to add it to our name, Mid-Continent Instruments and Avionics.
Oh, there you go.
So,
as just before the break, I was saying it would be much easier if everybody could change their name. I was kind of hoping for Hugh Grant myself, but it's just not in the cards. But I can certainly understand the need to identify and let people know right off the bat if they didn't otherwise know. Now, you're involved in a number of interesting technologies, but before we get into that, what I'd like to do is just kind of get an overview of Mid-Continent. What is it? Where are you? What do you do? Where did it come from? Why? And more important, why did you want to get a real job?
Why did I?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a real job, let me tell you.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, but it's a fun job. You know, I loved aviation, so I guess for me, why is I was 5 years old. I'll blame my father for getting me hooked. He got into aviation. He was an engineer, and he took me out to Cloverfield near Houston, Texas.
Oh, good.
And I got to watch the gliders, and his friends used to fly airplanes in and land on Bolivar Island on the beach, and I was hooked. I'm like, okay, I've got to do that. So yeah, really enjoyed that. But Mid-Continent started in Wichita, Kansas,
okay.
And we're there because we consider it the air capital of the world. So we've got Cessna and Beechcraft, Hawker Beechcraft, Learjet. We did have Boeing. They're still sort of there. Spirit Aerospace, our good friends there, and a lot of other aviation businesses. And of course, there was a need in town for support. So we began with support, and we were doing business locally. And finally, we said, you know, we've got customers that need service in Seattle and places like that. But gosh, it takes 2 weeks to ship a part. But we pursued that business, and then lo and behold, somebody came up with this crazy idea to ship parts overnight. And that enabled us to be able to provide service to people all over the country, and shortly thereafter all over the world. So we began by repairing equipment, and it didn't take long before people said, okay, you guys are pretty good at that. Could you build these parts for us? Namely our friends at Beech and Cessna. And it just rolled from there, and we build hundreds of different parts, so it's not unusual for a customer to find in their panel either an item that we may have built, or it's got our sticker from an overhaul. You know, lots of good friends out there, and they probably have something in their panel or in their aircraft that we've serviced or built at one point. So
you've got a pretty diverse product line.
It is quite diverse.
A lot of bases.
We did. We added our repair station in Van Nuys, California 21 years ago because all the Pacific Rim business and the West Coast, but it is diverse. We build everything from fuel gauges and load meters and engine clusters for the Duchess and the Skipper, if you remember those airplanes, up to the APU indicator.
As I recall, those were ones that actually work too.
Well, ours do work. We figured out a way to improve, innovate, improve.
God, I wish you did that for my Cirrus.
Yes.
Love the airplane, but the gauges,
Yeah, okay. And up to the APU indicator in a Cessna Sovereign. So it is fairly diverse. But again, typically it was indicators and instruments. And now, and we did enunciators. You probably have one in your panel for your GPS. So we were doing more avionics. And then recently we said, boy, everyone needs more power. People are going to fly-by-wire.
Right.
You want to plug stuff in the back. It might be as simple as charging your phone, or it may be an EMS application where you've got to run medical equipment, maybe DVRs or surveillance equipment. And so we've gone into power products, and because it is a significant market and a significant part of the business, even though it touches a lot of the same customers, I have created True Blue Power. And that is focused on power products like you see a few here, inverters, standby power packs, all built on these little babies right here, these nice lithium nanophosphate cells.
I got to tell you, first of all, the segue into True Blue Power, I was kind of figuring this out before. You just did it beautifully, and at this point, you just don't need me for the interview.
I'm living it. What can I say?
Perfect.
I'm sorry, but if you get too wound up,
I love
you may have to push me off here.
Well, lithium's got this really interesting rap out of there because of problems with other types of lithium technologies. First thing a pilot's going to ask is this a safe technology? I've heard all this and that, and TSA says you can't do this and so forth. Why lithium? What does it bring to the mix, and why does this work for you?
Okay,
and why should it work in my airplane?
It is a great question, and I've got a very, very talented person, Dr. John Gallman. He's a PhD that works with us, and he is the director of this division. We just had a nice training session for some of the avionics shops because the question why lithium and why even talk about it, my comment to them was, today in your car or your house, you may have 3, 4, 5, 12 different things with lithium type batteries in there. And the reality is, in another 5, 6 so years, you will probably have 3, 4, 5, 12 different lithium type batteries in your aircraft, depending on the type of aircraft and how it's used. Not to mention what's in your pocket or your iPad or your map. So your flight bag. So it's the reason is obviously it's cost benefit, like anything else. What is the cost? What is the benefit? Oftentimes, similar if you go to the store for your camera, lithium technology is typically a little bit more expensive to purchase at the point of purchase. But the reason people pay more up front is because actually they save money over time.
Right.
They get better reliability, they get more life, they get more performance. But it's very interesting. Lithium is somewhat new, but there are lots of different types. There are permanent lithium batteries that you might put in a camera or a flashlight. They're in your watch, and then there's rechargeable. And there's quite a difference between those two batteries. But it's kind of like when I became a scuba diver. The more you learn about it, the more you realize you probably want to know. And of course, pilots, being inquisitive type people, you want to know how things work. You want to know how your airplane works. You want to know how to fix it in the field. Lithium type batteries are similar to that, whether it's the ones that are in your camera or even more importantly, rechargeable. And there has been press. There have been some issues with solid, permanent, disposable lithium cells, and there have been some with rechargeables. The most recent one was somebody's phone, type thing. Very isolated, one in a God knows how many units, but still.
And usually after a fair amount of abuse that no technology should have had to deal with anyway.
Well, yeah, we've being in business this long, we have seen our share of tortured components come in the door. Anything from bullet holes to dropping and UPS trucks running over it, or delivery trucks.
Yeah.
And batteries, we've all been there. You love batteries, you hate batteries. Rechargeable lithiums, there are a number of different technologies, and there's probably a little bit of a horse race, but different chemistries and different technologies lend themselves to certain applications. We began experimenting with this because I learned about some guys at MIT came up with a really neat chemistry, and I said, that sounds like a real opportunity for us, because as you know, we supply a lot of standby instrumentation for OEMs, standby indicators, but if you have a standby indicator, you would like it to be running, so we've gotten into standby power. So in our experimentation, we found a good format, which is this unit right here, as a proving ground for this technology.
Okay.
And we've been very, very happy, and we have put this through the ringer. So not only did we do a lot of work to be sure this would be something I'd want to put in my friend's aircraft,
right.
But another large company did the same kind of verification, and we both reached the same conclusion that this technology is perfect for aviation and several different types of applications. So we are developing those now and working with other companies so that they can use this same technology in an application if they wish, and there again, bring it to the customer. And the reason that they specifically choose lithium, this product here is 66% lighter than the previous product that did the same job. So for an OEM, that's a big, big thing. Obviously, anytime you can reduce weight. And we do supply this to Eurocopter in their helicopter program. And let me tell you, they did their homework to be sure that they felt comfortable with that.
Those are folks that did not fall off the turnip truck yesterday.
No, they are. It's very serious business. Their customers fly helicopters in the toughest, most demanding applications, military, EMS, police, you name it. So, but it's perfect for that application, and it's also perfect for some others. So you'll see it, as they would say, coming to a store, coming to an avionics shop, coming to an OEM near you. You'll be seeing this technology, and we're there to help people put it to good use it safely. Anything that has stored energy in it, it's like the genie in the bottle. So it has to be managed properly. There are a couple of good options out there. We feel this one was the best. So again, innovation. Like I said, we're like, hey, let's bring this to our friends in the AEA, pilots worldwide, and see how they can best use it, and try to do it economically as well.
Yeah,
not cheap, but economically.
Well, let's face it, this is a business that does not like to waste money.
No one does. Absolutely.
There is no Buck Rogers without the bucks. No question about it.
Yeah. Well, and as you know, safety, especially for mid-continent, we want everything to be extremely reliable and extremely safe. Just good enough is not good enough for us. We want it to really be right. So we're really focused on that. And sometimes that takes more time. Sometimes it takes a little more care. Sometimes it takes a little bit more circuitry. This pack here is about half batteries and half electronics.
Okay.
And I mean, it is smart electronics. And that's one way that we protect lithium batteries. We monitor the amount of charge of each battery. We can limit...
You're constantly monitoring the health of...
all the time.
There you go.
Health, how fast it charges, how fast it discharges, temperature, balance. We're doing a lot of that. We have an inherently good cell design, but we add electronics to it. And the FAA is doing their homework too. They are trying to help bring this technology safely into aviation again. And so those standards are being pretty well set. We're close to getting that in, and hopefully that will help pilots make that decision, and where they can say, okay, this is a certified product. It's going to cost me a little bit more, but somebody has done their homework so that I can put this in my airplane and I can fly my family on this trip and feel good about it.
Better cost you a little bit more than cost you everything later.
True.
Before I let you loose, I've got to ask, what's the future for all this? Where do you go from here?
Well, it's a lot of hard work. I've got a pretty good-sized engineering staff for a small business, and we are doing a lot of very thoughtful and innovative design work. We partner with a lot of OEMs, but we also like to not only come to these shows, but we go around to airports and literally walk in the door of a shop, and we talk to them and exchange ideas. So it's really, development, research, and packaging products like this so that we can bring it to our friends who are pilots. We're also helping other OEMs. So we work directly with people who build aircraft, but we also work with other avionics manufacturers, for instance, so that they can use the same technology, and we can help them do that. So that's a nice thing, because as you know, we have a lot of friends in this industry, and we work together quite well, which is good for the aircraft owner and the consumer.
One final question, if I can just, we've asked everybody who's been here, especially the folks with a serious amount of time and grade in the industry. We're here at AEA 2012. The industry overall, aviation has been through a couple of tough years from a number of standpoints, tough economy, tough regulatory environment, tough perception. From what you see here as a longtime member of AEA, a pivotal member of AEA, and an award winner this year, by the way, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Your thoughts about this convention this year and the state of the industry?
Oh, okay, that's a tricky one. The industry is in a good place. We've had some wonderful technology come in the past few years, and when I look back over time, not only in our business, the first of any type of technology or product to come, when you look back after some time, you're like, wow, look how much it's evolved. And we've got some great technology that's come in, and I think the next 6 to 10 years, we're going to tweak that and fine-tune it, and it's going to be just that much better. And it's going to help people fly more safely and help people enjoy flying more. We need the support of people in the government. We'd like a little positive input for aviation. We need to keep it cost-effective. We don't want to overburden. We want it safe. We all do. But we don't want to overburden aviation because it's expensive. But, it's such a great mode of transportation. Flying an aircraft, it gives a business a competitive edge. Basically, you're buying time, so, and where else can you buy time? Not many places.
And nobody knows what your time is worth until you've wasted it.
Yes. And again, maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, but we like to still work with a lot of our customers face-to-face. We take advantage of other technologies too, but when it really makes the difference, you want to know somebody really cares and look them straight in the eye and know they're the right person to do business with. So.
On that note, Todd, I thank you very much for your time and for putting up with all of us here with all these snooty questions. Got to tell you, no uncertain terms, you're doing some really cool stuff. We've had a great time getting educated on some of the technologies that you've been bringing to the mix, especially on the power systems. I work in a number of capacities throughout the industry. I'm on the board of a cargo carrier, as a matter of fact, and these are technologies that we're evaluating right now, and it's kind of interesting to see this and speak with you one-on-one. So once again, thank you very much, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. Always a pleasure. Thanks for coming to the AEA.
And we look forward to, one of the things I really want to do is I need to get out to your location. I'd like to see how you make these and what you're working through and so forth. It'll be a fun process to visit and see what you're up to.
Come on to Wichita. We'll
Any excuse to go to Wichita, right?
There you go. We're close to Jabara, so you can actually land at Jabara and walk over to our place.
Sounds like a plan. Alrighty, folks, we're going to take a break here for a very short period of time. Tom Patton, my news editor, will join me. We're going to do a wrap-up of the show and the year at AEA 2012 here at the 55th Annual Convention and Trade Show. So if you give us a few minutes, we'll get Tom on deck, and we'll look forward to meeting you back here in just a little bit. Live from AEA 2012, this is Aero-TV.
Aero-TV's live coverage of the 55th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.